is the stream. Alright, everything's working as it should. Good. Stream's up, chat's up. Grab my notes. There we go. Everything should be set, ready to go. Just waiting on Aston Martin driver. Should be set and ready to go. We've got 20 in the lobby now. Alright, hands are ready, up signal. When the time hits 0, I'll start up my intro as per normal and we'll get this on the way. Hello everyone and welcome to round 4 of the Pacific Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Everingham, your commentator for this event, and for tonight we'll be competing at the Jeddah Corniche Circuit for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Constructed in 2021, designed by Carsten Tilke, son of track-making supremo Hermann Tilke, the circuit quickly gained a reputation of being one of the most controversial, chaotic and challenging racetracks ever featured on a Formula One calendar. Located against the scenic backdrop of the Red Sea, the unorthodox high-speed sweeping nature of the circuit should provide an exciting, tension-filled atmosphere to both qualifying and for the race. The circuit itself measures up at 6.17 kilometers and consists of 27 corners, the most of any track on the calendar. Many of these turns are part of high-speed S sections, most noteworthy of which is the section formed by turns 4 through 12. The track also features 3 DRS zones that lead into the primary overtaking areas of Turn 1, Turn 22 and Turn 27. Though drivers can also try and pass into the long left-hand sweeper of Turn 13, the majority of the overtaking will be done in the DRS zones. Now, before we touch on qualifying, there is a little bit of news to go through first from last week's race in Bahrain. There were a total of 8 reports that were submitted in by the drivers last week that revolve around 3 incidents and 1 penalty removal report from Roscoe. The first incident involves a number of drivers including ACW, Websy, Duxie and Blake Stevenson in a lap 1 incident that we saw on stream that took place at turn 4. The second involves Apollo, Pepsi and Duxie, which was also on the first lap, with Apollo being pushed off the circuit at turn 11. And the third incident was submitted by Levi, involves a pit lane rule breach by Blake Stevenson, with him faking entering the pits and crossing the pit lane entry line. Now, the steward verdicts were as follows. With the 4-car pile-up at turn 4, the driver at fault for that, as declared by the stewards, was indeed Duxie. He received a 10-second time penalty and 2 penalty points for the incident. The one between Duxie and Apollo at turn 11 was the result from that was no further action from the stewards. The incident between Levi and Blake at pit lane entry was also resulted in no further action, because you are kind of allowed to fake out a pit lane entry. You break the rules of entering pit lane when you cross the line while entering the pits. If you're just faking, you're allowed to get away with it. And for the track, limit penalty removal. There was also no further action. So stewards deemed that none of the 3 warnings contained extenuating circumstances for removal of those warnings. So unfortunately for Roscoe Arm, the penalty stands. Even with the time penalty applied, Duchy would stay in P17 in the final results, and that actually means that none of the positions change from last week's race. So all the final results remain completely unchanged. In the Drivers' Championship, it's GeForce Crichton who was leading the way on 90 points, followed by Matt Plevy on 60. Sebastian Spicer is next on 43, followed by Grid Jokes on 34, with Daniel Koo rounding out the top 5 on 34 points as well. In the Teams Championship, it's Ferrari leading the way on 92 points, with Mercedes hot on their heels on 90, just 2 points behind. McLaren are next on 59, followed by Alpine on 53, with Haas rounding out the top 5 on 43 points. But that's pretty much it in terms of news. A fair chunk to get through. We can now focus on this here qualifying session. A number of drivers on their first flying lap attempts, Matt Plevy being one of them. His teammate Ferrari Pro making his way through turns 1 and 2, a little bit sideways, and he invalidates the lap, as a matter of fact, through turn 2. Bags Liddell, we're right on board with you. Take you a tour of the racetrack through turns 1 and 2, and around the little kink of turn 3, we now head up towards this incredibly technical S section. Turns 4, 5, up towards turn 6, this left-hander, round turn 7, then turn 8, and turn 9. Towards the left of turn 10 and through these little kinks of 11 and 12. Now a short blast towards the long left-hand sweeper. That is turn 13. Down to 4th gear, back on the power. Just getting nice traction out of the sweeper as we head around turn 14. Round 15 through the chicane of 16 and 17. You can see how close the concrete walls are. As we head around turn 18, one single mistake and you're in the barrier. It will cost you a huge amount, particularly in the race. DRS open as we head towards the chicane of turns 22 and 23. Underneath the hotel, around turn 24, and the little kink of turn 25, hugging the inside line as we head around turn 26. And now the final corner, the left-hand hairpin, that is turn 27. At the moment, it's Luke Rockford who sits at the top of the totem pole with a 1 minute 26.348. Daniel Koo 2.5 tenths behind. Bags Liddell crosses the line to go 4th fastest. He does a 26.9. Seb Spicer making his way towards the final sector. DRS wide open. We'll see speeds of about 330 kilometers an hour through this chicane. So we now head around this long left-hand section. Runs around the Red Sea. A couple more drivers jumping up. Farmer Sam does a 26.9, goes just in front of Bags Liddell. So heading onto the main straightaway. DRS open, up towards the line. It's going to be a 26.7. Goes 3rd fastest with that lap time. Levi on a set of intermediates, so he won't be setting a proper flying lap on these. He'll just put a benchmark on the board. See a number of drivers have done intermediate runs just to put benchmark times down. Who have we got out on track then? Daniel Koo getting out of the way. Seb's going back to the pit. Same with ACW, same with Farmer Sam. I imagine a lot of these guys are just going back into pit lane. Then, perhaps not. Currently 9th with a 27.1, making his way through the opening sector S's. To be so on point through here. Or the back end steps out and then catches it quite well. He could have ended up in the barrier. He's kept it on the tarmac. Puts it into reverse nice and safely. Gets going again. Good heads up driving and a very nice save. Go back to pit lane. Hickman going into the pits, currently P12 with a 27.8. Got Ferrari Pro and Crichton out on track. Keen to see how these two drivers fare in qualifying. sure Ferrari Pro will be looking for a decent result. He's been looking for a big result in round 1 and round 2. Try and find some form here at Jeddah. Do have an Aston Martin in front. That'll be Levi on the intermediate. He'll be going into pit lane, I imagine, at the end of this lap. Crichton arriving. There goes the Williams of Venn. More than likely will go back into pit lane. He's got the battery turned off. Those soft tyres are probably shredded after what happened at turn 10. Right, Ferrari Pro onto the main straight. Will open DRS. Cross the line and begin a flying lap attempt. And just behind him is our championship leader, Crichton. Into turns 1 and 2. Third gear. Back on the power. Back on the brake. Back on the power again. As we head around the little kink of turn 3 and up towards the S's. Round turn 4. Then 5. Up towards the left-handers of 6 and 7. Round turns 8 and 9. Crichton just behind, making his way through the same section. Keeping it within the white lines, driving well. Ferrari Pro does a 31.7 to the first sector. Crichton does a 31.7 to the first sector. Nice and close to the wall for Ferrari Pro. What about Crichton? P2, nice and close. Round 16, then 17. Fifth gear up to 6. Makes his way through this flat out section towards the middle sector split. DRS open. Ferrari Pro to the middle sector. There's a 59.5. What about Crichton? 59.5 as well. So they're setting pretty identical splits. Only one major corner remains for Ferrari Pro. AlphaTauri sits on the inside of the track. Out of the final turn and down the main straight. What about Crichton? Gets nice and close to the barrier as well. Ferrari Pro crosses the line. He jumps to P3. What about Crichton? He goes to P2. He does a 1 minute 26.481. Currently a tenth and a bit clear of Daniel Koo, but he's 1.5 tenths off Luke Rockford. Still sits at the top of the table. Everyone's now on the soft tyre, so we'll get rid of that graphic. See who's on a flyer. Matt Plevy making his way through the first sector S's. 5th gear, 6th gear, round turn 6. Round turn 7, now turn 8. Then 9. Down to 6th. Keeping it just within the white lines. Making sure he doesn't go too far off the road. Those curbs can be quite nasty as Plevs is up by 3.5 tenths of a second. ACW making his way through the S's. Almost going a tad bit wide. He's pushing the limits of the track up towards the first sector split. ACW is up by 2.5 tenths. Someone's just jumped up. It's Grid Jokes who's jumped up. Stevenson's jumped up as well. He's done a 27 flat. Plevy's done a 59.6. You'd be about a tenth off Crichton at this stage if he strings together a solid final sector. Absolutely flat out up towards the hairpin. 332 kilometers an hour he enters. Now onto the main straight with DRS open. Matt Plevy will cross the line to set a 26.5. He goes third fastest. ACW has invalidated his run, and that's Seb, by the way, who has jumped to the top of the board with a 26.2. Dutchie's improved by half a second. He's P7 right now. Farmer Sam is currently up. He's low on fuel though. Towards the middle sector split, he improves by just under 3.5 tenths. Nice and quick through 22 and 23 as we head around the iconic Red Sea. Absolutely full throttle up towards the hairpin. They're on the brakes hard, down to 4th gear, back on the power, get close to the wall on the outside, flat out up towards the line, DRS open, using all the road on the left, crosses the line and goes 4th quickest with a 26.590. Just been bumped down, and that's because of Seb Spicer. He does a 26.371, only a few hundredths behind Rockford in P2, but a whole tenth behind Seb in provisional pole position. Daniel Koo crosses the line. He goes fourth fastest with a 26.437. Gridjoke's going back to pit lane. Ven, I think he's just improved. He's done a 26.8. Eagle just improving to the middle sector split. He's making his way around the final turn. Back onto the main straightaway. Open DRS and head up towards the line. It's going to be a 26.8. He goes 13th fastest. He sets the exact same lap time as Ven in P12. Look at that, to the 1,000th of a second. Levi's currently down by a huge chunk in the first sector, so he's not on a flying lap, and I don't think Nickman is either. In fact, he's completely out of fuel. Roscoe Arm is not out of fuel, and it appears he's on a push lap. Needs to try and get into the 27s to be competitive. Looking at the times on the board. Nice and close to the Aramco barrier on the outside of the final corner. Up towards the line, it's a 27.3, P17 for the AlphaTauri driver. Got Rockford out on track getting ready for his final run. We got Spicer coming in. Daniel Koo will come in a few moments. He's out of fuel. Seems that Farmer Sam will come into pit lane as well. He is completely out of fuel. G-Force Crichton about to begin a flying lap with 4.5 minutes left in qualifying. Into turns 1 and 2. Third gear. Back on the power. Down to second. Third gear. Fourth gear round turn 3. Fifth gear. Up towards turn 4. Revving it out in 6. Down to 5th. Back on the power. Using all of the road on the inside at 5. Round 6. Then 7. Then turn 8. Up towards 9. 6th gear. Oh, he's not too happy with how he took turn 10. Decides to bail on the lap. Ferrari Pro on an out lap. Same with ACW. In fact, with ACW, he's just about to begin. And the other Alpine of Rockford on a flyer up by a 10th to the first sector. Round turn 14. Then the left of 15. The right of 16. Then 17. Up towards turn 18 now. This little left-hand king. Then 19. DRS open around turn 20. Now turn 21. Clock says to the middle sector. He's up by 0.2 of a second. Clips the wall Stroll style at 22. He would have lost time as he opens DRS around the final sector. Turned in too soon. Hit the inside wall around the final corner. How much time did he lose with that incident? Opens DR. No, he bails as ACW retires in the first sector. There's Farmer Sam. So Duxie, Apollo Pepsi's retired from the session as well. Gridjoke is arriving on the scene. He's despawned. So I'm not sure what happened with ACW. He was nearby Duxie heading through this part of the track. Not sure what happened, but he's out of qualifying. The best he can hope for is a P11 start. Alright. So it'll be an Alpha. It'll be Farmer Sam. No, it'll be Duxie. He'll be the first to attempt the flyer. He's riding the brake and the accelerator at the same time, trying to rev the car out, trying to dump as much fuel as possible. And also keep his tyres nice and warm. It's a solid tyre warming technique in F123. He turns on the battery, heads around the final corner and onto the main straight. With 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock, for a lot of these guys, it will be the final flying lap of their session. Down the main straight towards turn 1. Building up to a speed of 333 kilometers an hour. Down to third gear. Oh, bit balked by the Merc coming out to pit lane. Is that Eagle or is that Crichton? It's Crichton. Duxie heading through turn 4. Round turn 5. And now through the S's. 6, 7, 8. Round turns 9 and 10. Front runners are about to begin their final runs. Gridjoke's making his way round turn 2. Currently P8 with a 26.6. Needs to find a lot of time to try and take provisional pole. Dutchy's up by a 10th to the first sector. Grid Jokes making his way towards the first sector split. It's pretty tidy so far from the Haas driver. Alrighty then, Clock says to the first sector he's up by a 10th, a decent improvement. Farmer Sam, a bit touch and go over that curb there at turn 4. The car didn't look particularly stable as Matt Plevy's been given a 5 grid place penalty for illegal blocking. There's a lot of traffic through that final corner. I'm not surprised someone got pinged as Farmer Sam is up by 0.2 of a second. Daniel Kuhn making his way up towards the S's now. What kind of time can he do to the first sector? Seb Spicer, he's currently up by almost 0.2 to the first sector as Stevenson crashes out, I believe. That's at turn 12. Daniel Kuhn, round turn 10 through 11 and 12, up towards the first sector split. The clock says he's down by a whole 10th in the first sector. Seb Spice is up by a huge amount. He's up by almost 3.5 tenths as we head through the final sector. DRS open. Rockford's done. Grid Jokes is done. Both drivers have done 26 threes. Spicer looking at potentially a 25 so long as he strings this final corner together. It looks pretty solid. What kind of time can he put on the board? DRS open. 25, no, it's a 26.2. It's good enough for provisional pole. Seb's currently up by half a tenth, but he's done. He's not pushing at all, so he won't be challenging for pole. Daniel Koo, he's still down by a whole 10th. Crichton is up by almost 0.2 to the first sector, I think, as we head up towards the middle sector split. Clock says he's still up almost 0.3. Using all of the track at 23. DRS open. Around the final part of the lap, up towards the final corner. Eagles retired in pit lane. He's P14. Around the final turn, 4th gear, back on the power. Isn't enough for pole position. Can he knock off Spicer? Up towards the line. It is not good enough. He has lost a tremendous amount of time through that final sector. He's P6 at the end of qualifying. Unless Dutchy has something to say about it, which he does not. A dramatic qualifying then. Plenty of stuff happening, particularly at the end there. Bit of controversy, I imagine, with what happened with ACW. Didn't see it, but considering there were 2 cars next to each other when the incident occurred, I wouldn't be surprised something happened between those 2. So, it's Seb Spicer who will start from pole position. It's actually a Seb 1-2. As Danaku is P3, followed by Rockford in P4. Grid Jokes rounds out the top 5. Crichton P6, followed by Dutchy, Farmer Sam. Matt Plevy will start further back from 9th with that penalty he received for illegal blocking. Ferrari Pro is next. He rounds out the top 10, followed by ACW, Bags Liddell, Venn, Eagle, Stevenson, Nick Mann, Prezzo, Levi, Roscoe Arm, and Apollo Pepsi will start from the back in 20th position. Well, it appears that Plevs is requesting that everyone retire and reset, but a lot of the drivers aren't particularly impressed with that. Now, I'm not fully savvy with the rules in that regard, but I'm not sure if there's anything in place for a lobby reset of this nature. Especially considering that Bags Liddell is the coordinator for Tier 1. Well, I guess we'll find out if we have a reset or not. 5 red lights, and we'll see a lot of jump starts. So yeah, I'm guessing we're resetting. Alright. Might have to take a look at the rules in the meantime. I am not certain at all that there was anything in the rules that allowed this to happen, but we'll see. Because it's not necessarily a lobby glitch or something. This is about a grid penalty. I'll have to have a look at that one. Have to wait until the timer pops up, I think, folks. Alrighty then. Appears that someone is actually missing. Not sure who. It's Crichton. Crichton's missing. When he gets back in, we'll be able to start. Alright. Just have to chill for a bit, I suppose. Trying to find anything about lobby reset stuff. I can't find any. Alright, the grid's set. Yep, I'm not sure. Couldn't find anything explicit about what just took place right now. So, though I'm pretty certain that in races past, if you were unlucky enough to get a grid penalty, during qualifying. You kind of just dealt with it. Seen it on a number of occasions. This is the first time I think in Race Spec where I've seen a reset. So, pretty curious on that one, to be totally honest. Alright. Hopefully everyone can choose their tyre allocation sooner rather than later. And any driver who's listening, I would think there'll be a couple. Make sure you put your setups on. You don't want to run default, that'll be awful. Default does not equal fun. Especially at a track like Jeddah. Got so many high-speed corners. Probably need that downforce. I imagine this will take a minute or two, folks, as well. Everyone will be adjusting setups, adjusting strategies as well. Alright, shouldn't be too far away now. Shouldn't be too far away. Here we go then. All 20 cars are lined up ready to run. We have 5 red lights. We're underway here at Jeddah. It's a nice start from the front row, particularly from Spicer. Seb will have a crack down the inside at turn 1. Spicer will try and keep the fight alive, but ultimately it's the Aston Martin who wins out. Further back we got 2 and 3 wide as we head towards the S's for the first time. This midfield scrap could get dicey. Into the wall goes Venn. Hard into the wall. Around goes Plevy into Stevenson. And oh my word, drama aplenty on the very first lap of the race. Who would have thought? Out wide goes Stevenson. He's got no front wing on that McLaren. Absolutely innocent bystander. And what happened at turn 4? Eagle, a 5-second time penalty for corner cutting and gaining a place. He won't get that penalty removed. He will have to serve it in pit lane. Then in trouble. Levi trying to find a way through. He's unable to do so right now. It's a tough track to try and pass Jeddah. He should get by here though. Oh, he makes contact with Venn. Dear oh dear. Venn trying to get out of the way. Sitting off the racing line through turn 19. Oh, he runs wide. Oh, he rejoins next to Apollo. Dearie me. As Rockford has a crack down the inside. Spicer leaves the door open for Crichton as well, who's on the soft tyre. He's playing aggressive, just like he did in Barcelona, and it worked out for him. Down towards turn 1. Crichton with the inside line. He's going to send it in here. Get the job done at turn 1. Moves up into P2. Farmer Sam up to P8. P2 is on the soft tyre. Dutchy putting a little pressure on Daniel Koo as we make our way around turns 4 and 5. Into the pits goes Venn, Stevenson and Plevy. All of them for damage. Ferrari Pro right on the back of Farmer Sam, can't do anything. Dutchy and Daniel Koo side by side. Dutchy gets in front into 5th. Oh, as Grid Jokes gets nice and close to the wall at the exit of the sweeper. G-Force Crichton applying the pressure, trying to find a way by Seb. Up into top gear. He's got momentum. Having a look down the inside. He knows better. Backs off, lets Seb have the apex as Eagle gets by ACW. Should see a change in position here. Seb won't have much to try and defend against the sheer grip of the soft tyre. Look at that. Right round the outside. Soft tyre versus hard tyre, and Crichton hard covers. He's going to outbrake the Aston Martin here. Doesn't matter that Seb had the inside line. There was no way he was going to try and dive bomb. He does not have the grip. That's why Crichton left the inside door open. He knew he couldn't pull it off. Levi and Prezzo changing places down in 15th and 16th. Now Seb, best he can do right now is to try and stick with Crichton for as long as he can. Big lift through turn 9 and a poor run through 10, 11 and 12. Rockford close, but not close enough to launch an attack. Seb minding his own business in 4th, Dutchy 5th, Farmer Sam in 6th position. On that soft tyre, he's making it work. Up 2 positions from where he started. Same with Dutchy. Drivers who have made the most. Crichton up 4, Eagle up 4. Roscoe Arm up 5 from 19th position. He's up to 14th. And Apollo, he's up 4 as well. Biggest losers, of course, are the 3 drivers involved in the lap 1 incident. Plevy, Venn and Stevenson. Round the Red Sea, up towards the final corner. Grid jokes. Not quite close enough to have a go at Daniel Koo. The Williams driver hanging on to 7th for the moment. Rockford close to Seb. Yellow's out. It is Apollo around at the final corner. He's got front wing damage as well. He will have to pit. He'll have to do a 3-point turn also. Try and get pointed back in the right direction. Through the S's. Crichton with that track position. He's unable to break away from those behind. How long will he be able to hang on to this track position, as few drivers set new fastest laps, as Apollo making his way out of the pits now. Half a second the gap between the top 2. 2.5 tenths separating Seb and Rockford. Rockford unable to find a way by just yet, as Ferrari Pro gets grid jokes. Moves in front into 8th position. He'll have his sights set on Daniel Koo. Up to 7th gear. He'll open DRS. Doesn't have a huge amount of battery to play with. Meanwhile in front, look at this, heading into the final turn. Rockford having a crack 2-for-1 style at the final corner, but does not pull it off. Rockford though, he moves up to P2. With DRS open. Not using any overtake. Not just yet. Doesn't go for the race leader. 2 Sebs in P3 and P4 just behind. And there's Dutchy and Farmer Sam, the 2 Alfa Romeos. Just watching the show in front. So just losing a little bit of ground through here. A few hundredths as Dutchy closes in with the battery turned on, no less. Has a look but doesn't commit. Up towards turns 16 and 17. Everyone getting through. A poor run though from Spicer. Dutchy has an opportunity. Got the battery turned on. Spicer's got his battery turned on as they're side by side heading towards the chicane. Someone has to give. And it's Seb. He's down to 5th. Dutchy up to 4th. Ferrari Pro's going to have a crack here as well. DRS open. No DRS for Farmer Sam. But that Alfa Romeo is pretty quick as Rockford's taken the lead. Ferrari Pro up to P6. Crichton, he's got battery to play with. He's got DRS as well. Rockford, he got by at the final turn. Crichton will get him back here at turn 1. ACW gets Eagle as well. That's for P10. Up towards the S's now. Turn 4, 5. Round turn 8 now. Yellow's out. That's Ven, is it? It is. It's pointed back in the right direction. Down in 19th position. Steven sets a new fastest lap. 1 minute 30. As Ven gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding. He'll retire from the race. Not been a good night for the Williams driver. He's left the session as well. Caught up in that lap 1 shunt. Caught up with something at the hairpin as well. Not sure if there was another driver involved. Or if he just did it himself. Regardless, he's out of the race and we're down to 19. Rockford retakes the lead. Crichton sits in behind, waiting for his moment to counter-attack. Slight wiggle from Rockford. Crichton opens DRS, takes the inside line, and moves back into the race lead. Eagle and ACW changing places again. Eagle back up to 10th. This proper mix-up of strategies, this train is going to split up quite a bit. And I wonder if we're going to have any safety cars in this race, who is it going to benefit? The soft runners? Oh, off the road is someone, it's Dutchy. He rejoins next to Ferrari Pro. That's a shocking rejoin. That was very well done from Ferrari Pro to avoid him like that. Just swerved into fast traffic. Somehow everyone was able to get around. Through the chicane 16-17. And the flat out section. Heading towards the final sector. Actually close, but not close enough to attack Daniel Koo. Koo's wide though. Had a very poor run. The Alfa Romeo driver will open DRS. Use a bit of battery as well as Rockford takes the lead back. Oh, contact between Daniel Koo and Dutchy. Contact, I think, again. Entering the hairpin. Battery turned on. DRS open. Crichton will take the lead back. Dutchy with the inside line there, wheel to wheel heading into turn. Oh, and he puts him into the wall. Dutchy puts Daniel Koo in the wall. And Koo responds, taking out Farmer Sam in the process. Oh, what shocking driving from the pair of them, honestly. Have a squabble amongst yourselves, so be it. But the fact that you got another... this is ridiculous now. Safety car has been deployed. And that should benefit the soft runners and the medium runners, I would suppose, as well. The medium tire doing 20 laps, I'm not sure if that's possible, to be totally honest. So those on the hards might be a bit screwed. We'll find out, but that's astonishing. Surely. And, you know, the squabble amongst themselves, so be it. But the fact that a third driver innocently got involved in that is absolute rubbish. That is pitiful driving. A bunch up here. I haven't caught the safety car. The safety car is waiting over at turn 3. Everyone will pit. Everyone will have to pit. It's a free pit stop. You have to take it. Keep an eye on these two, shall we? It appears they have settled down somewhat. Keep an eye on the totem pole as well. See who's going on to what tyre. Oh, here we go. Welcome to the Jeddah car park. Double stack over at Red Bull. It's going to be a big hold for the Mercedes of Crichton. Car should benefit is Daniel Koo. Oh, sorry, that must have been Eagle in the other Mercedes. It is Eagle in the other Mercedes. No, Daniel Koo lost out pretty hard with that Dutchie. Penalty being served, hard tyres being bolted on the car. Now Plevy coming in. Hard tyres on, he'll go to the end of the race on those. Polo's in, pulls it up just in time. And it appears as well the medium tyres will make it. I mean, why else would everyone pit onto mediums? Except for those who start on the medium tyres, like Ferrari Pro. Mediums vaulted on for Apollo Pepsi. Well, it's a nice break for Apollo. Needed one. After his spin at the final corner, he'll catch the back of the train. And so long as he survives at this rate, he should be set for a decent result. Similar story for Stevenson as well. They needed a break, they found it. Alright, so the order is as follows. Crichton, Rockford, Seb, then Ferrari Pro. That's the top 5. All of them on the mediums, except for Ferrari Pro. He's on hards. That's because, if I'm not mistaken, he did start on mediums. Grid Jokes is next. In P6, follow ACW and Nickman, with Roscoe Arm and Farmer Sam, who still finds himself in the top 10 on the hard compound tyre. I'm almost certain he had a front wing change as well with Farmer Sam. I'll double check that though. Let's have a look. Yeah, front wing change, softer hards. So you can see here, those who started on the mediums are on the hard tyre because they really have no choice. And those who started on the softs or the hards, they're pretty much all on the medium tyre now. So definitely a big race-changing event right there. What happened at turn 1? Change of position further back. We've got drivers coming in. Got Eagle and Levi into pit lane. Now Eagle, he'll be going onto a set of mediums. He's got front wing damage. Levi appears to be just a strategic stop. No, sorry, front wing change. I didn't see the wing changer there. So he's gone back on the hards. He might pit again to go back onto the mediums. We'll find out. I mean, he'll lose next to no track position by doing so. Oh dear, oh dear. Nice shot here. Pity that the leaderboard covers it up, the majority of it up. I wish that would be something they added in an F124, is the ability to change the size of the leaderboard. It's just a bit too big. If I could make it a bit smaller and push it up further into the left-hand corner, I'd reckon it'd be a lot nicer. Just so then we can see more of the racetrack, see more of what's going on. Well, I'll tell you what, we won't need the tyre graphic for at least a bit. We know everyone's made one stop. There's the position change after all the drama. Crichton up 4, Ferrari Pro up 5, Roscoe Arm up 10, Nickman up 8. Prezzo up 5, sorry, ACW up 4. All the guys that have kept out of trouble gain plenty of spots. So safety car's in this lap, so I'm guessing Levi won't pit for those mediums again. He'll stay on the hards. Here comes the field safety car going back to pit lane. We're waiting on the field. I have a pretty decent idea who to keep an eye on too. Alright. Crichton's about ready to take off. He has. Green flag will be in the air. Back to racing conditions here at the Jeddah Corniche Circuit. We've got a long way to go. Rockford not close enough to try and make a move. Ferrari Pro trying to defend from grid jokes. Whoa, what are you two fellas up to, one wonders? Did you squabble over, or is there something else that's going to happen? Nothing as of yet. If something does happen, I'll try and get to it as quickly as I can. Meanwhile, towards the front, grid jokes on the back of Ferrari Pro. Ferrari Pro on those hards will not have any pace right here, right now, compared to those medium runners. He just has to try and hang on as best he can. Farmer Sam and Roscoe Arm changing places. So we head out of the sweeper and up towards the chicane. There's still side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel contact between them. Someone has to give, and it's eventually Farmer Sam. And here comes Bags Liddell. There's Danoku behind, and he now has Prezzo directly behind him. Here comes Dutchy. Oh, whoa! Prezzo slowing down. Has he got damage? He must have damage. The only reason why he'd be slowing down like that. He does. He's missing an end plate on his Haas. He'll have to pit and get that fixed. Red Jug's round the outside. Ferrari Pro can't do a thing about that. Red Jug's up to 5th then. Farmer Sam gets in front of Roscoe. Roscoe trying to go underneath. Oh, it's tight. There is just enough room. Roscoe, will he have a look here at one? No, he does not. Because the Danoku and Dutchy are behaving as well. Through the S's. Farmer Sam 1.3 seconds behind Nickman. And on those hard tyres, it's going to be real tough to catch up to those in front. Doing the best he can, though, trying to cut down that gap. Rockford now out in front. He's got 6.5 tenths. Let's have a look. 67, 79. So he has used a bit more battery compared to Crichton to try and break away. Using a bit more there. So we head towards the chicane of 22 and 23. Or a bit wide. No, it's a lot wide. Crichton now closes the gap. To the inside he looks. Going to try and get in front here at the final corner. Lines it up. Hits the apex. Gets in front. Crichton retakes the lead. Rockford back down to 2nd. Seb in 3rd. DRS is now enabled. Rockford gets close, but not close enough. Through turn 1, then turn 2. Leaders separated by not much right now. And they're all pretty much on the same strategy. It's going to be a sprint from here to the flag. It's going to be about who can manage their battery the best and who can manage their tyres the best in this situation. And who can take track position at the right time. It's all pretty calm towards the front. Further back though, let's see what's going on. Danoku and Dutchy, they're on alternate tyres. Danoku on the mediums, Dutchy on the hards. They're around turns 16 and 17. Blake Stevenson might get involved in this shortly. Rockford closes the gap to Crichton. He won't pass at turn 22. Yellow's out in front. Who is it? It is Farmer Sam. And that has caused a VSC to come out. So Farmer Sam losing it out of turn 23. He's our 2nd retirement of the race. A shame. He looked quick out there. Even on those hard tyres, he was doing well. But unfortunately, he's found the barrier. We're down to 18. Well, that's a late duck in from Daniel Koo. Might get the wrath of the stewards from that one. Drivers need to be very careful with the Delta. You do not want to get a drive-through penalty. You do, it will be game, set, match. Nice and steady. Yes, he's still out. It is still going. Waiting on it to eventually end. It's almost been a whole lap of VSC. And there's the drive-through. Daniel Koo, a drive-through penalty for speeding under VSC. His night is going from bad to worse. Seb Spicer. Oh, a bit of a mistake there from Seb in front in the Aston Martin. DRS open. Rockford will get by. Crichton, he will try and set up a run out of the final corner. You can see as well, with the Aston Martin Seb, he's got a ton of battery. Rockford, though, he has used a bit and he's trying to break away. You can see him flashing their DRS slot open and shut, waving to one another. That was kind of cool. Yeah, Rockford trying desperately to break away. Oh, car kicking out slightly sideways. Red Jokes. Don't think he'd be close enough to do anything up at 13. Might have something here between Roscoe Arm and Stevenson though. Roscoe Arm, he was savvy to it, turned on the batteries just for a little bit to try and keep the McLaren at bay. Stevenson looking quick but just can't find a way through. Won't find it here either, he's a bit too far back. I imagine as much. Farmer Sam, unlucky mate. Look pretty good out there. Even on the hard tyres, you look pretty good. Sort of shame. Oh, Crichton, gee whiz. Almost going into the back of Rockford. Might see a change in the lead here. Not quite, it seems. Seb and Seb battling one another towards turn one. Oh, and it seems that Aston Martin Seb might win out. McLaren Seb trying to go around the outside. He will have the inside line for turn 4. Can he get down there? He can. Oh, and he parks the bus too. Oh, and a big slide. A huge slide. Checking up everyone behind. Ferrari Pro moves in front. Red Jokes down to P6. Up towards turn 13. No one going for the move here. Everyone line astern. That could have been really nasty with what happened with Seb. Could have spun out. But the Aston Martin driver, he kept control of his car, just. And everyone around him reacted pretty damn well to make sure there wasn't an accident. So well done. Rockford has turned on the battery. He's got 8 tenths to Crichton now. Going desperately to break away. Crichton in response though gets DRS himself. He'll cut down the gap. At least try to as Grid Jokes gets by Ferrari Pro. Dutchy gets by Bags Liddell. ACW and Ferrari Pro. They're battling once again. That got tight. That got sideways for Nickman in the Red Bull. Rockford setting fastest laps out there. As ACW will get by the Ferrari into P6. Yeah, Ferrari Pro can't fight that, I'm afraid. Stevenson and Roscoe Arm change places too. So Stevenson is up to 12th. Almost inside the top 10, which would be a nice recovery after what happened earlier in the race. Oh, Rockford back down to P2. Something's happened with the Alpine driver. Must have made a mistake somewhere. Roscoe Arm definitely has made a mistake. This is at turn 9. Weird place to have it. He's down to P16. So all that pushing from Rockford ultimately resulted in a mistake. He's back down to P2, but he's definitely not out of the fight. definitely got the short end of the stick now, though. He's got a fair chunk less battery. 25% compared to 46%. But with DRS, he'll be able to save that battery up. Look at that, he keeps the DRS shut. Doesn't want to go for a move here. Stick behind Crichton. As Seb Spicer closes in. Right on board with Spicer, I reckon. DRS open. What does Rockford do here? To the inside. Try and pass Crichton. Does so successfully. Pulls the car up. Gets it rotated. Liddell gets by Plevy. That's for P10. Round turn 4. Then 5. 7 the Aston. Trying to close in. And the 3 in front. Got plenty of battery in his back pocket too. Same with Spicer. Round the sweeper. Ooh, someone scraped the wall. Is that Spicer? I reckon it might have been. Could have been lag as well. Not terribly sure. Or a bit wide there from Spicer. Sam leaves the session, fair enough. DRS open. Up towards turns 22 and 23 on the brakes hard. Missing the apex slightly, but it doesn't matter. The thing is, he's got the slipstream, he's got DRS. Crichton shuts DRS, he doesn't want to bar Rockford just yet. Neither does Spicer. Onto the main straight. Not a great run from the McLaren driver. Can Seb find a way through? He's got the battery turned on. Crichton looking down the inside. Same with Seb. Pulls it up almost. Contact, I think. Just a little bit of contact. Spicer's got the nose in front. And here comes Grid Jokes in the halves. He's not far behind now as we head through turn 4. 0.2 of a second separating these two. Going back and forth, back and forth. Been quite the scrap. Still got a fair few laps to go as Seb in the Aston looking round the outside. Spicer maintaining that inside line. He has the grip, has the performance to hold on to third. Gets in front, good stuff. Oh, slight wall tap there. I think that time it was Seb in the Aston who did that, not Seb in the McLaren. There's Grid Jokes behind. A little bit out of touch to battle the 4 in front, but we've still got a ton of laps to go. Round the Kings up towards the final corner. Rockford gets in front. Spicer backs off. Oh, he now has a look around the outside, maybe unintentionally. Spicer, he doesn't want to battle these two just yet. Wants to wait later on. Alright, into turns 1 and 2. Rockford maintains the lead. Meanwhile, further back, Stevenson gets in front of Plevy. Now into the top 10, but he's 3.2 seconds back from the next car, so I reckon at this stage 10th is the best that Stevenson can hope for. Dutchy meanwhile in 9th place behind Ferrari Pro. These two doing the best they can with their hard compound tyres. Wide goes Ferrari Pro. Grinding over the top of the outside curb. He's down to 9th. Up towards turn 16 and 17. Crichton will get DRS and close the gap to the race leader. Now got half the battery of Crichton. That will be a problem when we get closer and closer to the last lap. Through 22 and 23. DRS open. Now Crichton won't go for the move. If he's got momentum, he won't go for it. Not here at least. Or maybe he looks. Oh, and Rockford checks up. But did he check up too late? No, I don't think he will. Rockford should get DRS. Does get DRS, but look at the Merc. Trying to hold on to the race lead. Rockford now backs off. He doesn't want to take the lead from Crichton. Some proper gamesmanship going on. Everyone's trying to position themselves accordingly for these final few laps as Polo and Bags Liddell battle for P12. Through the S's. Round turn 9, then turn 10, through 11 and 12. Half a second separating Crichton and Rockford. Roscoe Arm, new fastest lap at 29.4. Through the chicane. Ooh, that was a lot of curve there from Crichton and a bit of a wiggle. Out of the chicane too. It lost him time. Through 22 and 23. Crichton's not far enough away to break away from the Alpine. This is going to be one hell of a fascinating duel. A lot of revving out there from Rockford. He doesn't want to pass. Not yet. Everyone's trying to line each other up. Crichton's trying to break the slipstream. Rockford to the outside, heading into turn 1. Crichton doesn't fight. Lets him through as Plevy moves up into 9th, overtaking Ferrari Pro. Round turn 4, then 5. %, battery, 52% battery, 84% battery, 86 and wide! That would have cost him time. He's still got DRS though, and he still maintained position. Red Joke's just that little bit closer. Through the chicane of 16 and 17. Now through the flat out kinks. Up towards the final sector. DRS open on the Merc. No attempted pass. Polo Pepsi gets in front of Bags Liddell. DRS open again. Up into top gear. Will Crichton go for the move? He backs off. Backs off again. Oh, and that's Spicer trying to go round the outside of both of them. There was a lot of wall scraping there. Not sure if he's got damage. But he's certainly pushing. He's taking 2 for 1, or trying to at least. Can't do it. Crichton takes the lead. Spicer to 2nd. Rockford down to 3rd. Be incredibly key in the context of this race is Ducksy. He now moves up into 7th position, overtaking Nickman. Those hard tyres won't seem so bad anymore. They might come into play. Crichton's got almost 6/10 in hand. He won't be able to break away unless someone in this train makes a colossal mistake. Crichton won't be breaking away. No way, no how. Everyone who is in this leading train has a chance to win. Need the right amount of luck and they need to position themselves accordingly. 6/10 the gap. Spicer turns on. DRS does not turn on the battery though. Doesn't need to. He gains time on Crichton. Through the chicane. DRS open for Spicer, for Rockford, for Seb, for Grid Jokes. They'll be giving it absolutely everything heading on to this penultimate lap. Crichton goes hard left, trying to break the toe. 2/10 is the gap. Spicer will go for the move. Surely. He looks. Does not commit though. He stays behind. He's playing a super patient game. He's waiting for his moment to strike. Will Crichton have enough in defence to try and hang on? Spicer, he's got 80% battery. He's going to use every bit of it on the last lap. Use a little bit there just to keep in touch with Crichton. Keep it at about half a second. Around the sweeper at turn 13 for the second last time. What can Rockford do? What can Seb do? Look at that battery. 95%, 97%. Oh, and that was Dutchie in the background getting super loose out of turn 17. Losing time as Daniel Koo sets a new fastest lap at 29.0. Oh, I think there might have been a little bump there between Seb and Rockford. Not sure. That Aston Martin got real close to the Alpine in front. Up towards the final corner for the second last time. No one going for the moves now. They will soon though. Here we go then. It all comes down to this. 6.17 kilometres, 27 corners. Yellows are out at the final corner. I want to keep my eyes on the leaders though as we head around turn 1. No changes in position. But at the key at the accident, it's Plevy and Stevenson. So all that work after the safety car restart, gone out the window. They're down in 14th and 15th. Crichton hanging on by 0.4 of a second. Still got a bit of battery in hand. And he's pulling a slight margin over Spicer, who will use his battery down there straight away towards the sweeper. Round turn 13 he goes. Levi, a 3-second time penalty. Alright. Coming up towards all or nothing now. Out of 17, round 18. Turning on the battery just for a brief moment. There comes the DRS, closing the gap. Rockford just behind. Through 22, contact! And around goes Spicer! And that will be the break for Crichton. Oh my God! That's the break he needed! That's exactly what he needed! Rockford and Seb Spicer crash at 22. It's released the Mercedes and ultimately spoiled the finish. Onto the main straight for the final time. Crichton will win 4 in a row. Seb will come home in second. Rockford finishes third. Oh my God. Can you believe it? We were set for a grandstand finish. Instead, we had a wreck. And ACW copped the worst of it. ACW was set for a top 10. After what happened there, he is out. He will not finish in the points for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. He'd be furious. And so will this dude. Had a podium in the bag. He had a race win on the cards. It was taken away with a sector to go. Unbelievable. Who will finish in 15th place? Will it be Daniel Koo or Roscoe Arm? It'll be Roscoe Arm who ends up scoring that final point for position. And he also got fastest lap too. Then Preza, our final finisher, in 17th place. My God. What a shocker. Serious questions need to be asked after that one. Crichton, he was good enough to put himself at the front of the field when it mattered most, but frankly there was a bit of luck behind his win tonight. 4 on the trot. It's been a remarkable performance so far. P2 to 7, the Aston Martin, putting together a fine drive. P3 to Luke Rockford, who will have a huge question mark over his head after what happened on that last lap. So, the very unofficial results of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Crichton is your race winner by 1.5 seconds over Seb, with Rockford completing the podium places in third. Grid Jokes in fourth. Dutchy with a big question mark over his head, probably the biggest of all, in P5, with Nickman P6, Ferrari Pro P7, Bags of Dell P8. Apollo finishes inside the 10 from starting dead last, and Eagle rounds out the top 10. Seb Slicer P11, Levi P12, followed by Matt Plevy, Stevenson, Roscoe with fastest lap. Daniel Koo will score nothing from this round. Prezzo P17, ACW classified in 18th, 2 retirements, Farmer Sam and Ven. But yeah, quite a few question marks over several drivers' heads after that one. That was shocking, to be completely fair, in terms of the standards displayed right there in that race. Some very questionable things. Question marks after the decision to reset the lobby after qualifying. Question marks over what we saw between Dutchy and Daniel Koo. Questions about what we saw on the first lap at turn 4. Didn't see that in full. It didn't look pretty, whatever it was. And of course, questions from that final lap incident. Yep. Not the best display. Don't get me wrong, entertaining. Everyone loves some drama. But it's not something I think a lot of people want to see. Expect a lot better. But I think, folks, with everything said and done, now time for us to end the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Hopefully we get to see you next week for round 5 of the championship at Marina Bay Street Circuit. It's going to be the Singapore Grand Prix. Yeah, it's going to be a long one. Till then, it's goodbye.